Now, just one day after that incredible speech in Brussels, the speech when Mr. Trump told NATO allies, well, scolded them to pay up, he's going to be sitting down with a few of them again. They're in Sicily for the G7. Is it safe to say that the leaders that are there are kind of bracing themselves for another eventful meeting?
That's absolutely right. What is clear about this G7 summit is that the US isn't following any of the normal protocols. By this stage, we'd have a much clearer sense about what the final conclusions or communique from the summit would be. And Trump has been very clear that he's waiting to hear what leaders have to say on things like the Paris climate deal before he comes to some kind of conclusion. The US administration has tried very hard to stop the Italians from getting something they wanted, which was a plan around migration and all of these refugees who make dangerous crossings from the north of Africa through to Europe. But one other thing that they have given way on, it seems, in the last hour is that there will be a commitment to gender equality as a human right put into that final communique. But there's so much up in the air compared to the normal arrangements for a summit like this because of the style that Trump is bringing to this particular meeting.
Yeah, so much up in the air in regards to some really important and, in the world of Donald Trump, sensitive issues, like you mentioned the Paris Climate Change Accord or Russian influence, free trade. Do you think, looking after, how Trump has kind of performed in his behavior in the last week, will Donald Trump be in listening mode here, or is he going to push back?
Well, I think it's both. He is a good listener to some extent, but to get precisely what he wants out of a particular interaction. And behind the bluster, some things do go on as normal. Our sources tell us at Politico that the information sharing between the US and the UK resumed, at least to a certain extent, last night once the NATO meeting was over. So for all of that difficulty and whatever future inquiries might occur there, some things do proceed as normal once you turn the cameras off effectively. But Donald Trump likes to make a show. You saw from the speech at NATO yesterday.
Absolutely. And there's also, as you mentioned earlier, the tricky issue of migration. And I'm happy that you brought that up. I mean, this meeting is taking place in Sicily. It's taking place in an island overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, which is, of course, where thousands and thousands of migrants have perished in recent years. We know the Italian prime minister, he's likely to bring this up. The migration crisis is an issue. But is Donald Trump willing to hear what the Italian leader has to say about the crisis?
I think he might be willing to hear, but he's not going to be willing to suddenly open the floodgates up in America and have a special refugee resettlement program. We've seen even in Europe where it's almost logistically impossible to put up those walls and block all of those people from arriving, that even in that situation, leaders here are very reluctant to accept refugees that may be from different ethnic or cultural backgrounds. It caused huge divisions in the EU. And Trump, of course, has his own travel ban and his campaign rhetoric around keeping Americans safe. So the idea that he's suddenly just going to accept in a bunch of refugees, that's probably a little bit naive from the Italians to think they would get that far with the discussion. But by the same token, what the Italians are trying to say is that this is a global problem. It's not just Italy's problem because it happens to be next to Africa. If there is instability in the region, if there are conflicts partly driven by Western involvement, if there's a climate-related migration of people, all the world's leading economies and societies have to deal with that together. That's the point of the Italians.